I'm a little sick in the head and in the head, which means I feel a little high, which means I get a little philosophical, which means you're in for a treat. So buckle up, Buttercup. Come join my cozy ass living room, but social distance, because I'm filled with germs. This is comfortable and cozy. We're going to talk about the dialectic of being hopeful, even though we're doomed. Ding! Roll credits. Just kidding, I don't have any credits. Ooh, let me get my coffee. It's all cozy vibes here. Hopefully my voice isn't too terrible and like nails on a chalkboard. Chalkboard. All right, be serious. No, just kidding. It's hopeful. It's hopeful time. I am working today and it is my lunch break. I was on one of my breaks and I was scrolling on TikTok and I was struck by an overwhelming sense of joy and perseverance and creativity and talent, and just like bombarded page after page after page, scroll after scroll of incredible people doing incredible things, you know, inundated here and there, speckled with the doom of the world. I was struck by how amazing people are, how resilient people are, how innovative people are, how creative and collaborative people are, how funny people are. And it just made me like tear the fuck up and crash the fuck out. It made me feel so hopeful. And I was just like, damn, people are really out here just doing shit, living their best life in spite of what's going on right now. You know, social collapse, the rise and fall of the American empire, which was pretty short, which makes sense, you know? Quick, climb to the top, crush everybody, crush yourself, crush the world. What I've been thinking about today is, that's a drone. Has anybody else been seeing drones around their place? Why am I the only one who sees that, like in my friend groups? Like nobody's like, no, I haven't seen the drones. And I'm like, how have you not seen the drones? I see them all at the same exact times, all the time. In spite of the doom of our society and its impending collapse, despite how the stock market's probably gonna crash and prices are going to go up exponentially, despite how hard things are going to get, how is it that the art is getting better, the takes are getting hotter, and the people are getting better, ? I tend to be leaning more and more into my spirituality. Ask my sibling, it makes them uncomfortable, and it probably makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Rightfully so. Spirituality is wacky, and if you've done a lot of like I have, not just but you know, many things, you tend to have a proclivity towards the woo-woo, the interesting, and the mysterious. And I do, I really do. God, I sound like I think, and you know, fight me in the comments, tell me I'm a ninny, tell me I'm a goofball, tell me I don't know what's up. I'll take it. That could totally be true. I could totally be delusional. But I genuinely think that there is a spiritual shift going on right now in the world, prompted by the upheaval and hostile government takeover. We're in a hostile government takeover. You know, while these things are happening, there is a direct correlation of shit's getting bad for everybody and a collective awakening and motivationing and collaborating in like a really hopeful and exciting way. Now, do I have evidence for this? TikTok. Do I have evidence of this in myself? Yes, here I am. I'm seeing people either getting exponentially more chaotic in my life, my loved ones, getting exponentially more chaotic, unhinged, sort of like the mask is coming off and the shadow self is coming out, and or like myself, a combo of that. The mask is coming off, the shadow is being met with the higher self, and they're getting together, talking, you know. Some days it's like shadow, some days it's like mask. Some examples of this are my acting teacher, whom I love, has decided to shift our specific class into a devised company, a workshop group where we're all creating characters, creating backstories, and devising a play. And it just so happened that one of the people in class already wrote like a 2-page synopsis of this world that already has rules, kind of like Black Mirror, Severance type world. It just kind of organically happened a couple weeks after my teacher was like, this isn't going to be a class anymore. You don't have to pay for this anymore. We're going to kind of form this collaborative company, might I say communist. I mean, I wouldn't say that to them because I don't think they're ready for that, but I'm thinking it. You know, I'm thinking it. Let's get the gardens ready. Let's get the firearms started. Can I say that? Let's get the cute winter boots started. Ugh. Please hold. I guess I'm kind of feeling for myself that the universe or my higher self, whatever you want to call it, because I'm sure we don't really want to call it God here on this channel, right? Especially with the name. And like, you know, in the last couple of months, I have been kind of like tiptoeing around the G word, you know? Not in the same way at all, not in a personified version at all, but in a like God is love, God is not a being, God is all of us. We are pieces of the universe experiencing itself. We are the universe is God. We are made in the image of God. We are all little balls of light put here to have an experience. It's a way to describe the mystery of how beautiful and incredible it is to be here on this earth. So my evidence around like what's going on for me, or like why I think I'm being pulled into a way different direction than what I thought I was, well, I'm here. First and foremost, I'm back on this channel. I am in this acting company that is like now this little commie collaborative creative cohort. That is some alliteration for you. I have let go of a lot of shit in my life that I didn't realize was possible. Like I've let go of relationships that I have grasped onto for a long ass time, like the better part of a decade. I've let that shit go. I've let go of like my need to control, fix, and step in and be the savior. I'm stepping back and I'm like, that's not for me. I am starting to believe in a future that I've never believed for myself, that I've never allowed myself to go there. Even with the backdrop of the end and the fall of the Roman Empire, the fall of the American shit show oligarchy hellscape that we are in, I border on delusionally believing that like I'm going to be okay and I'm going to help others and I'm going to put my actions where my words have been for so long. And this is new. I've gone in and out of organizing for most of my life. I've gone in and out of boycotts and staying involved in the political sphere. And now it just doesn't really even feel like an option. It's like, it's that kind of second nature now. It's not even really like, oh, this is really hard to do. It's like, this is just what we do, you know? And that, all of that to say, like, I don't think that means that people who do struggle with organizing or staying involved in like your local governments or, you know, putting your actions where your words are, that's a process, and that process is there for a reason. But the more and more that I've like talked to other people around me, talked to the femmes, like I also am kind of seeing like this is kind of happening more with women than it is with men. I'm seeing the men around me kind of fall apart a little bit. except for my acting teacher, who is like, yeah, he's like stepping up and believing in himself and asking for help and like humbling himself in a way that is really like, okay. But like for the majority, I would say like 80% of the men around me are really struggling really hard. I see it. I see it in friendships that I've kind of pulled away from because it's like I'm not getting what I'm putting into you. And I'm seeing that happen in their lives. And I'm seeing my love, I'm just seeing it happen in many different areas. The women, on the other hand, are like starting to fucking thrive right now. Start taking ownership of their life and being accountable for themselves and finding this confidence within themselves. Like the women and the femmes of my life, my older sibling is crushing it at life. I would say I'm crushing it at life. There's a older woman in my acting class. She's probably in her late 70s. I do love her dearly. And she's like been going through the spiritual journey for like a year and a half, where she's just been shedding all of this trauma and has transformed into a new person. And I've been hearing that lately. Like people have been like, Annie, you're like a different person. I've heard that from people. I've heard from people being like, you're standing differently, you're carrying yourself differently. This isn't to say like, goodbye bad days, it's only sunshine from here. Oh no, quite the opposite. Two things can be true at the same time. I think that's part of the shift, is people are opening up their visions, their scope of vision, to be a lot more encompassing and creating resilience, emotional resilience, in a way that we can hold multiple things at the same time and they can all be true, and we can have the emotional fortitude and strength to hold that. The last couple of days I've been waking up with dread rather than like kind of escaping my body and trying to run away from that. I've really sat with it. I've really like paid attention to, okay, I'm experiencing dread right now. And I've sat with it, like I'm actually meditating these days. Not every day. I love to be stimulated. Coffee. But I'm also choosing to act oppositely. Sit with it. Let's sit with it. I am so much more integrated in my actual life than living in my mind and withdrawing from my body and the reality that I live in, which actually happens to be quite wonderful. Another evidence of things being more hopeful is like I'm sick, and chemically in our brains when we're sick we tend to feel hopeless. Our dopamine and serotonin are lower chemically when we're sick, and I get really depressed when I'm sick, historically speaking. But today, homie, the sun is out, I'm working, I can handle this. I'm going to think positively. I'm going to be like, I'm getting better all the time. Yes, it sounds like woo-woo white people shit. And it can absolutely be spiritually and culturally and racially bypassing a whole bunch of shit. And it's like, just think your way out of a bad time. That is not what I mean. You can just be like, la, 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 la. None of that's happening, and it can kind of be like a spiritual denial. My nose, hold on. I get that, I really do. And I have tried to do that, but that feels very different than what I know to be true right now, which is I'm not ignoring the shadow parts of me. It is actually quite the opposite. I am sitting more than I ever have before with the shadow sides of me, the parts that I don't want fucking people to see, but I'm letting them out. And I'm letting them be seen by myself, which is like the hardest task of all. The manifestation, I think, comes in when we know two things can be true. I want to make more money, I want to be financially independent, and I don't want to have a boss other than myself. I have this specific vision of how I want my life to look, and my life doesn't look that way right now. And I have a lot of historical evidence around I've done some things to move the needle towards that life, but it's still not looking the way that I want it to look, okay? These are two true things. And I'm choosing to focus on this while keeping this in my periphery. Me still having a 9 to 5, me still, working in Excel, even though I fucking hate Excel, me having to like put on a happy face and learn how to stomach my disdain for just the corporate world. That still exists right now. And I am making moves. And I'm going to continue to focus on the future. It's really just shifting the stories. Before, the stories have been, I'm never gonna make it. I'm too old to be an actor. Now, I wasted my shot. Nobody actually thinks I'm good. Those times that I got cast, all those times were just one-offs. They were flukes. I'm never gonna be talented enough. I just don't have what it takes. And I'm just choosing to shift that narrative. I absolutely have what it takes. You're never too old to be an actor because acting is telling human stories. You're never going to age out of humanity until you die. And that's when you age out. Of course, you're talented and smart enough to be able to make these things happen. And of course, other people are going to see that in you. Similarly, I think that can be true about America. We have created this whole society, this entire reality, raped, pillaged this entire land, absolute devastating violence for generations. And I think it can be really easy to be like, how could it ever be different? How could we ever build something different? How could it ever look different? There's just too much water under the bridge. We're just doomed. I guess there's a reckoning, right? There's a reckoning that is happening, it seems, where people will have to look at that, regardless of whether they want to deny it or not, regardless of whether our entire world has been spiritually bypassing these truths for centuries. I kind of feel like, well, we all have collectively gotten ourselves to this place. We all have individual responsibility to this land, to our community, and to our community at large, which is our country. And everyone's on a different part in that journey. Everyone has their own individual part and story around how they're going to reckon with that. For people who have chosen to ignore and create a false reality around them and spiritual bypass all that shit, they're gonna have to reckon with it. Nebraska's going to be bankrupt in 2 college semesters in a year. 70% of all farmers are going to be bankrupt. The majority of those people put themselves there. For those of us who we always knew, right? There's a reckoning with us, the good white leftists, where it's like, sure, but I wasn't radically changing my life in the way that I needed to in order to create a difference. I'm still working on that. Our country reflects the inner realities of individual people, and it is collectively projected on a large scale. Whether or not we're choosing to address our shadow self, it's coming out, it's leaking out, it's coming out sideways. Does any of this make sense, or am I just sick? I by no means want to sound preachy. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I know what I'm talking about. 2 things can be true at the same time. I have so much to learn, and I'm not going to negate all of the things that I have learned over the past decade of my adulthood and the 28 years of existence. And I have a lot more shit to learn. And I think that that's true for everybody. And so rather than sitting here, all of us pointing fingers at each other, because I think that that's what good leftists need to work on, is learning how to do community, learning how to get over our annoyance with other people, because you're on the same side, but you seem like you hate each other. I'm saying you, but I also mean me. And there is a shift. There is a shift happening, and I genuinely have hope for our future. I genuinely think that we will learn how to think differently. I really do. I genuinely think we're going to learn how to create new things that we couldn't even imagine right now. It's only delusional until it happens, until it works. Who said that? Oh, this creator. I'll try to link her. When we look back on past revolutionaries and past times of revolution, like I guess our most recent times would be in the 60s, that actually made meaningful change for a lot of people. That is all now being repealed. People had fucking hope. Fred Hampton, Maya Angelou, Malcolm X. These were deeply hopeful people. If they weren't hopeful, they wouldn't be doing what they were doing. We are learning from these people. Maybe slowly, but I bet we can get faster. The last thing I want to say around this is shame is a horrible motivator to do good things. Shame and despair is like not very motivating. And we have to find ways to motivate ourselves. Nobody else is going to do it for us. I think hope is a good motivator. I really do. For me, it's like, why would I fight to change myself if I have no hope of changing? Why would I fight to change my city, my neighborhood, the building that I live in, if there is no hope anyways? Well, there is. There is hope. And if there isn't, then create it. Create the hope. In the same way that Khadija and Bo says, you can always change your mind because you can. Let's really listen to them when they say that. Like, you really can always change your mind because you can. And losing the ability to change our minds is deeply concerning. Other people have other points that they want to shout out in the comments. I will read them and I will think about them and I will humble myself and let there be a possibility of me changing my mind. The one thing that I'm committed to is hope. But if I have flawed logic, or if I have, areas of unawareness that I'm not looking at, call it out. Let's talk about it. I mean, you don't have to if you don't feel like it, but like if you feel like it, that's what this is about. All right. I think I talked about hope. I feel like that was a fever dream. I don't know where I am. What year is it? I love you, homies. I've been really enjoying talking to you all in the comments. I've been really, really, really enjoying it. I've been really enjoying all of you smart, funny, cool, weird motherfuckers. I feel so happy to be here. I'm just gonna keep on saying that because I know it might sound like a broken record, but damn, I'm happy to be here. Damn, I'm happy you're here. Damn, damn, damn. Y'all are cool fucking homies. With that, I'll see you tomorrow.